Cloudcast Media.
Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. A great day because we got our friends in from Mount Soledad National Veterans Memorial. Neil O'Connell, Executive Director of the Memorial. Neil, it's always good to see you, whether it's at SD Mac or whether it's at one of your bride's golf tournaments, working for Junior Achievement or whoever else I run into you. And the work you and your team do is just amazing.
Thank you, Drew. We appreciate you having us again on the doorstep of our big Veterans Day ceremony coming up.
That sounds great. And joined by a relatively new hire, Trevor Westman-Lavelle, the Marketing and Communications Director. Nice to put a face to a name, Trevor.
Thank you very much for having me.
How you enjoying the gig at the Memorial?
Oh, so far it's been great. I mean, I've actually known Neil for quite a long time, and I finally get the chance to work with him and doing the honorable work up there at the memorial, honoring our veterans and preserving their legacy.
Yeah, he's a true pro on this, and I'm joined by my co-host, and that is Kristen Fogel. Kristen is the Executive Director of San Diego Writers, Inc., and has been co-hosting the show with me for several months now. Kristen, you have a question for Neil.
I do. Well, for both of you, actually, and Trevor, maybe you spoke to a little bit about it, but I wondered if you could just walk us through your mission.
Well, first off, our mission, we've been at the memorial since 1954.
Wow.
Since that date, we've been honoring, preserving the legacy of our veterans by telling their stories. Our mission here in San Diego right now, we are working to deliver more impact across the whole entire community in honoring our veterans. By that, I mean there's not a family in San Diego that doesn't have a relative or relationship to a veteran.
Absolutely.
With the large population that we have, we're doing all we can to bring people to the memorial to share their stories in honor of their service.
Beautiful.
I love always talking about the uniqueness of what you folks do, because there's no other place like yours, correct? Because you accept folks that are still alive.
There is not another memorial in the USA that has this beautiful, beautiful cross surrounded by 14 walls that has 7,000 plaques that have the photos of veterans that tell their story. The unique thing about it is, Drew, as you spoke of it, is living and deceased veterans.
Yeah, it's great. And now they've started a brick program. I bought my dad a brick. He fought in World War II at Guadalcanal, right? Exactly. Next step is to get him a plaque as well. And we're going to make this thing happen next year. I was talking to Trevor about this. We will have a Cloudcast Media remote from Veterans Day next year. Just couldn't quite make it this year. And we'll certainly look to Memorial Day. But talk about the big Veterans Day shindig you have going on, Neil.
On Veterans Day, the 11th of November at 11 o'clock in the morning at the Mount Soledad National Veterans Memorial, we will honor our veterans, as many locations in San Diego have services and ceremonies that day. Ours is open to the public. There are 2 off-site locations for parking at the French School in La Jolla and the Presbyterian Church parking lot right across the street. And we'll have shuttles that'll take folks right up to the top of the memorial. The stroll is a beautiful stroll. It's probably less than under a quarter of a mile. And again, it's open to the public. We have seating. We have beautiful lawn area that you can put blankets down on and the like. But what's special about this ceremony is we are going to honor a living prisoner of war, a man who was in captivity for about 3 years, 2 months, Commander Jim Bettinger. Jim is a local hero in San Diego, and he is very soft-spoken, stays out of the spotlight. But we will honor him. He will tell his story, and we'll present a plaque. Our keynote speaker is former U.S. Attorney for the Southern District, Bob Brewer. Bob Brewer's background is pretty pronounced in the law community. However, prior to becoming a attorney, he was a U.S. Army Ranger lieutenant, served in Vietnam. And by what I've read and talked to Bob about, he's a lucky man. He's very fortunate to be alive.
You know, it's funny you mentioned Jim Bender. Jim's been on my show several times talking about his book, and we see him at SDMAC, of course, San Diego Military Advisory Council. And, listen, he's an unbelievable guy and very humble. And you should do you know about his Bedinger family history? Goes back to the Revolutionary War, and he writes that in the book. Have you read his book, Trevor?
I've read the preface.
The preface, yeah,
just started.
Yeah, and obviously he was in the Hanoi Hilton, and of course, John McCain and folks were there on this. Trevor, did you serve in the military?
I did not.
Okay, very good. But you support the military. Like we all do over here. I didn't serve either, but
right. As Neil suggested, the degrees of separation, between civilian and military in San Diego are slim.
Yeah. It really should be that way anywhere. Have you been up to the memorial at all?
I haven't. No.
That is something you need to take your 5-year-old to.
Absolutely.
It's an unbelievably beautiful view. It's in the Mount Soledad, and the history. They got beautiful docents working there.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
A card was just passed to me. So.
A card was passed to you, right? So now you have no excuse not to go up there. No, it really is. It's quite spectacular for so many different reasons on that. Trevor, listen, I know Neil's all geeked up about having you on board. Your function will be getting the word out, correct?
Absolutely, yeah. We've been at that for the past few weeks. Obviously, putting together all of our creative, speaking to the beauty of the memorial, the site within Mount Soledad Natural Park, and then of course the memorial itself inside of that circle at the very top of the mountain. And I think the special nature of this year's event, as Neil was pointing out, the two speakers, our keynote, Robert Brewer, and then our honoree and guest speaker, and Jim Bedinger. But there's the broader theme of this event, which I think is a really big deal, is that this ceremony for us, as well as many ceremonies around the nation, are all going to be commemorating the 50th anniversary of the Vietnam War. And this was actually an initiative that started under President Obama, 2012.
Right.
And it was set up under the Secretary of Defense. It was authorized by Congress. 5 objectives were set to it, and it has bbeen running ever since under presidential proclamation from Trump through Biden. And we're excited to be able to pull all of this together. We don't have to go down history road too far to know the major differences in how veterans were treated then as to how they are treated today. But it is our special privilege to be commemorating this particular event to that to that cause.
Well, and I think what's important about that, we're chatting with Trevor Westman-Lavelle. He's the Marketing and Communications Director for the Mount Soledad National Veterans Memorial, joined by Neil O'Connell, Executive Director. Just been doing a phenomenal job with this memorial for many moons. I'm Drew Schlosberg. You're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We're the nation's longest-running community podcast on our 17th year, and brought to you by Mission Fed, Credit Union. I think you can't say it enough, Trevor and Neil, on how absolutely disgracefully the Vietnam vets were treated. And I think it's an important thing to let people know that, and we got it right, as we should never let that happen in the first place. The wars that have followed this, and no one wants a war, of course, but the wars that have followed, we've treated our vets very differently, Persian Gulf War and so forth. But I don't think you can let people know that we should never, Neil, tell me how you feel about this, never forget the fact that this should never happen again, how we treat a veteran.
Absolutely, and I'm glad you brought this point up, and that's the main emphasis of gathering as many of our Vietnam veterans to the memorial for this ceremony. And again, we're a collaborative partner with the commemoration.
Right.
To be able to take them and tell them, thank you publicly. Many of them weren't thanked. Many of them harbor those emotional disturbances from just being treated horrifically when they came home. Take your uniform off, being spat on, being called names when they're coming off the airplanes. going back to their home areas in some locations in the country. But fast forward, those men and women in that era, they made a pledge that never again would any generation ever have to be treated and subjected to those sort of just horrible things that they experienced upon their return. So I can speak very, very clear to this. As a United States Marine who deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan a couple of times here and there, upon our return, we were escorted by the Patriot Guard riders, tons of motorcyclists, and guess who was on those bikes? A heck of a lot of veterans, Vietnam veterans. If you go to Miramar National Cemetery or Rosecrans for any send-off, you will see them there with their flags, with their colors, escorting families into the gate, up to the place of internment. We get the same exact thing here at Mount Soledad. They have pledged in their unity and their strength. It's emboldened by their presence. They make an impact in our community. They help us. They stand firm with us after what they went through. How tremendous is that?
No, it is. And again, we encourage everybody to go to the memorial's website, Mount Soledad National Veterans Memorial, for the November 11 event. It is free. We come back from break. We're going to continue the conversation with Neil O'Connell, Executive Director of the Memorial, joined by his Marketing and Communications Director, Trevor Westman Lavelle. Kristen's got some questions to ask about the 70th anniversary, certainly other memorial, and some other things down the road. And I know Kristen always saves a special question at the end on how our listeners can get engaged when we turn. Another discussion on this just a wonderful organization, Mount Soledad National Veterans Memorial, talking about the Veterans Day shindig on the 11th of November. I'm Drew Schlosberg, and you've been listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, the nation's longest-running community podcast, now in our 17th year. We will be right back.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. You're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, the nation's longest-running community podcast. Now in our 17th year, we're brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, the beautiful Mission Fed studios here in Scripps Ranch. Mission Fed's been doing wonderful things in San Diego for more than 60 years. We are chatting with our good friends from the Mount Soledad National Veterans Memorial, Neil O'Connell, the Executive Director, Trevor Westman Lavelle, Marketing and Communications Director, talking about the Saturday, November 11 Veterans Day ceremony at the memorial. More information on that, but my wonderful co-host, Kristen Fogel, she's the Executive Director of San Diego Writers, Inc., has other questions for you, Neil and Trevor.
I do, and I'm just looking at this beautiful save the date graphic. Trevor, did you have a hand in making this, or can you take some credit for it if you didn't?
Yes, I can.
Okay, perfect. Excellent.
Because Kristen was if you weren't. Okay,
yes, exactly. Yes, I'll take it if you don't. No, in my world, I do writing workshops with both Wounded Warriors and monthly with female Wounded Warriors and with Armed Services Arts Partnership. So I'll let these those folks know to come attend as well. But I also wanted to turn it to, your 70th anniversary is next year. So congratulations.
Thank you.
What do you have kind of teed up for that?
I'll give Trevor the
honors.
Perfect.
the honor
Come
of
on
that one,
aboard,
'cause
Trevor.
He's ginning up things. We're going to have a great year.
That's
Wonderful.
fantastic.
Yeah, I'm excited to actually be coming on board ahead of the 70th anniversary. From an anniversary perspective, of course, it leads up to the 75th, the big 75.
Mm-hmm.
But 70 years is obviously nothing to shake a stick at. And I think what we're really going to be focusing on is that even though the history extends much further back, the memorial itself was dedicated in 1954, the Mount Soledad Memorial Association, just 2 years prior to that, by local veterans here in San Diego. And being able to tell our story of how we have been telling the story of veterans since then, and sharing that story, as we just spoke about earlier, to reinforce the commitment to the honoring their service and their sacrifice, and the fact that the memorial represents such it's the perfect cross section of our society, that there isn't a race, creed, color, or culture that is not represented there in number at nearly 7,000 plaques, and we have more always coming. But with, of course, our flagship events of Memorial Day and Veterans Day, we will be opening up, or I should say, maybe drawing back the curtain a bit on events, because one thing to recognize is that the memorial is private. It is privately owned and has been privately funded from the get-go for 70 years. And therefore, a huge opportunity that Neil and I have had the privilege of talking about even before I came on board is that Mount Soledad is a beautiful venue. And we have an amazing backdrop, both physically and in the presence of all of those stories, those rich veteran stories that exist in those plaques on those walls, that we want to broaden the reach that we have to be able to bring people to the memorial to not only learn about them, but also to be able to educate them more broadly, also to be able to create a space for them to socialize, to interact. We just had a great event last night, actually, with the Veterans Beer Club here in San Diego, as well as the San Diego Military Advisory Council. It was a networking event. Businesses, corporate businesses, other nonprofits.
Now, was Phil at that one?
No, Phil.
I'm stunned, by the way. He must have been on the space station mirror if you couldn't have made the beer.
Our good friend, Phil Kendrow.
Yeah.
He's our board chairman, as you know.
Yeah.
And very active with us. He is on training, as you know. He's a pilot.
He is.
Phil was really, really bummed he couldn't be there.
Yeah, exactly. Because usually beer and Phil together in that aspect, of that. And, one of the things that is really near and dear to your heart, I think we had Becky talking about it too, the myriad events you have going on all the time. You can find that on the website. But talk about Giving Tuesday, Neil.
Well, as Trevor talked about here real quickly on our the funds that we receive to operate the memorial and maintain the memorial and support our programs are all private donations, corporate donations, individual donors, membership. So Giving Tuesday, we know the hallmark of the reason for that call for philanthropy. Our call to the public is, listen, it doesn't matter what level you give. It's important for you to understand that your money, the money that you give, your treasure, is extremely, extremely appreciated, and you will see it in return by this beautiful, pristine location. You will see it in the fact that you will have, on any given day in the summer, 1,000 visitors.
Wow.
1,000 visitors visit that memorial on a daily basis in the summer.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I got to tell you, it's one of the iconic places in our region, to say the least. Kristen, got another question for Neil.
That's why I love this show so much, is I learned so much about places that I've yet to be in my 15 years in San Diego. So yeah.
Exactly.
Thanks for pulling them on.
Yeah.
Can one of you tell us about a story that makes you most proud about your organization?
I bet Trevor and I could probably share some of the similar stories, but there are a number of stories that impact you on a daily basis,
Sure.
Christy. I mean, you will have somebody come up that you've never met in your life is looking for a loved one's plaque. Now, you may have walked by there and seen that plaque before in that beautiful photo of, the pilot or the young rifleman or a Navy SEAL or a Navy doctor or gal or what have you. And the next thing you know, this person is kneeling down and touching the plaque and wiping tears from their eyes. The first time they've seen the plaque since they were young, and now their loved one has passed. Those experiences are what our docents experience, our team, our employees, our volunteers, pretty regularly. Just recently, I think I shared this in the last segment, when the Hamid Karzai International Airport got bombed there by a suicide bomber, 26 August in 2021. Horrific loss of life. We had calls that day of people from the community that wanted to get a plaque at our memorial to honor all of them. And you have to stop and process that for a second. Those people knew who we were. How did they know who we were? Well, in one case, one gentleman, his dad is up there, who was a World War II POW. So when you start to, peel the onion or pull the thread, as we say, you get more of this, spirit and, emotion from these people. So we did actually place up 2 plaques honoring them.
Yeah.
We did. And that, I'll never forget that day when we got those calls. And I'll never forget the day we gave that plaque and we presented the plaque. And we hosted the Marines from 2nd Battalion, 1st Marines from Camp Pendleton. And then just recently, August 15th, we hosted the Gold Star families of those Marines and sailors. And they had never been to the memorial before. The impact that made and the connection that made with them is lifelong. It's forever.
Yeah, and I think, those experiences are repeated every day. Is the memorial ever closed?
The memorial, the park grounds are operated by the city of San Diego.
Right,
yeah.
right.
But no, the memorial is never closed inside of those park hours.
Right.
And it is absolutely free. There is no There's no entrance fee
every day.
There's
Christmas,
no
New Year's.
There's no tickets, exactly.
Celebrating UCLA's national championship in football this year. That won't happen, by the way. Just wanted to see if you guys were going to faint, because I certainly would in that aspect of it. Kristen has a final comment or a question for you guys.
I do. So obviously we should all get out there, go physically to the place. And we should go to the Veterans Day ceremony and stay tuned for everything that's coming up next year for your big 7-0. But what else can we do to support your efforts?
Well, honestly, I would invite everybody and their families to come to the memorial. When you visit the memorial in the greater San Diego community and other listeners here, come see us. I guarantee that your experience will be something you're going to walk away from and say, I really enjoyed myself. I learned a lot today. The support factor, again, donations, soledadmemorial.org. There's platforms right there that you can become a member. You can donate. You can be recognized. There's opportunity for us, if you are that inclined to put a substantial donation toward this cause, you will be recognized on our bronze pedestals that ornate the steps of the memorial. All of it, again, we cycle through each year. We maintain the memorial each year. The programs are better. They're becoming more impactful in our community, and we need resources to be able to deliver those and stick to our pledge of honoring our veterans.
Right, exactly. Well, Neil O'Connell, you're a treasure, and I just love having you come on the show, bringing in folks like Trevor and your staff, Becky. Whenever Philly Boy's around, he'll pop his head in and so forth, and all this. We can't do enough to support the memorial. Again, for our listeners, it is the 50th anniversary of the Vietnam War. It'll be Saturday, November the 11th. Go up and say hi to Jim Bettinger. Tell him, here, it sounds like a commercial now. Tell him Drew and Neil say hi. It's a great book. He was a POW at the Hanoi Hilton, and Neil will look forward to having you folks back on in November, if I'm not mistaken. Trevor, you got some times teed up for that to talk more about what's going on, and wishing you guys always great continued success. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Kristen.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Drew.
Yeah, absolutely. My pleasure. You've been listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, the nation's longest running community podcast, now in our 17th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, doing phenomenal things for the last 60 years. Thank you very much, Kristen Fogel, and hope that you have enjoyed another edition of our Spotlight Show.
Thank you so much.
Very, very good. Hope you enjoyed the program.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Cloudcast Media.